This review has been made possible by Toyota of Naperville. As you know, Toyota has tons of brand new Toyotas available for purchase, but did you know that they also have a remarkable selection of used cars? Head on over to toyotaofnaperville.com and look through hundreds of used cars for sale right now.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2014 Toyota FJ Cruiser. Up front is a 4.0 liter V6 and down below is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here FJ Cruiser because I've never driven one before. I have a little bit of personal history with this car. A childhood friend actually, well, his dad had one of these, and so from football practice, school, to the movies, whatever it was, I rode in this car quite frequently, but I never drove one until today. So let's get back to that 4.0 liter V6, which is untraditional for Toyota. I was really expecting the 3.5 liter that's found in the Camry, that's found in the Sienna, that's found in the Tacoma. No, but this is actually a 4 liter V6. I'll put the horsepower and torque up on the screen. Nothing really too crazy. This car isn't built to be a speed demon, but it is meant to have torque. That's why they opted for the 4 liter V6 instead of the 3.5 liter V6. Makes a little bit more torque, which is what you want when you're going off-road. Horsepower doesn't really matter off-road. It's all about the torque. All right, now I don't have like a sport mode or anything like that, so we're gonna do it live. We're gonna do it live. Not expecting much here, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. It definitely feels torquey, and it's a 4 liter V6, and it's good. It's good. It's not knocking my socks off, but it's, you know, toying with them, I guess. Like I said, paired to it is a 5-speed automatic transmission, and it's fine. It's a very typical Toyota automatic. It's shifting, it's doing the job. I'm not really impressed, although I'm also not disappointed. It's very middle of the road. Last but not least, of course, the FJ Cruiser is 4-wheel drive, and we'll talk about how to select that a little bit later on. So let's talk about the interior. We have so much to go through in here. Well, in front of me, I have 5 different gauges. On the left is my tachometer. In the center is my speedometer as well as odometer. And on the right, I have my battery voltage, coolant temperature, and fuel, as well as which gear I'm in. I like these gauges. They're very simple, and I like the fact that they're white backed, so they're very easy to see at a quick glance. Look down, look back, and you know exactly what you're looking at. And again, this is an off-road oriented vehicle. When you're off-roading, that's what you want. You want your instruments to be very, very clear and easy to read. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my volume controls, skip track, and mode. And on the right, I have my phone options and voice commands, as well as cruise control at the bottom right. The steering wheel is okay. However, this is where I start to notice this vehicle's age, which this car is less than 10 years old. However, the steering wheel is starting to wear in the upper left-hand corner. It's almost like this super incredibly hard foam, and it's starting to chip away ever so slightly. To the left of me, I have my gauge dimmer switches and my mirror adjustments. And on the door, I just have my lock and unlock and power windows. Before we move into the center, however, I do have a vent off to the left. And up in front of me, I actually have a storage compartment. So in order to keep symmetry, the passenger side gets an airbag. I get a storage compartment right in front of me, up on the dashboard, which is crazy. I've never seen this in a car before, which is super, super helpful. And I'm sure they use this same dashboard in left-hand drive and right-hand drive markets. So over in Australia and Japan, where this car is actually still being sold, I'm sure it's the airbag for them. But for me, I get a nice little storage compartment. Now moving into the center, I do have a compass, my outside temperature, as well as an altimeter, which will tell me the degrees in which the vehicle is slanted or angled, which I love. This is very reminiscent of the early 90s Japanese Datsun diesel pickup truck that I drove last fall, but this is an American market vehicle. I love the fact that I have those gauges up on top. I think that's really, really cool and special, and makes this car just a little bit more fun. Also, if you really wanted to, you could probably switch those gauges out for something else. Moving on to the center stack itself, I have 2 more climate control vents and a digital clock in the center. Then I have the radio. The radio looks like it was bolted in for military purposes, and it's very, very basic. Very reminiscent of like Scion radios, like the Scion XB radio. Looks kind of similar to that. And surrounding it, I have probably the largest climate controls I've ever seen. Just every button is so large. I guess you can't really miss it. But of course I have fan speed, temperature, and where to send it. Very rudimentary. Moving down onto the center console, I have a ton of dead switches, but I do have traction control off. I have a 12-volt outlet and a USB/aux in, which is really nice. The center console itself, I do have a cup holder off to the left. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test. And while the FJ Cruiser does not fit the big friggin' bottle with the rubber liner, if you take the rubber liner out, it will. So I will give the FJ Cruiser a pass for the big friggin' bottle test. But off to the right of that cup holder, I have my manual 4-wheel drive settings. Now, I really, really like this. I'm not a big fan of push-button 4-wheel drive in modern cars. I like actually having a physical stick, and that's found right here. Down below that, I do have my automatic shifter. This is the typical Toyota shifter that is found in every single Toyota product from 2000 to actually some of them even now still use this, which it's fine and it functions well. Then I have a little indent, I guess for coins or something, and then a second cup holder with a larger storage area down below that. Now, up on the center console, I do have lights, but I also have off-road mode on and off, and I can adjust the speed in which off-road mode works, which is very interesting, as well as I can turn on A-track and I can lock my rear differential. If the gauges on the dashboard didn't do it for you, this is where you really start to notice that this is a purpose-built off-roader. You don't find these controls in a Toyota CHR. A really, really cool feature of the interior of the FJ Cruiser is this. This is a sunshade dedicated just for your side window. Now, that's because this one up here is so far away that it's not really going to do much for you. If you swing it over here, it would stop like right here. Well, this is actually a dedicated side shade for your side window. I absolutely love this. It's kind of quirky and weird, but it's really cool at the same time. Moving on to the seats are a little bit hard. They're a little rigid. However, they are nice. They're finished in a black cloth, and I really don't have any complaints about them. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review because there's an interesting way of getting back there. All right, so the FJ Cruiser actually has suicide rear doors. So it's like a Mazda RX-8 if you're familiar with those. So the front door has to be open in order to open the rear door. So once I'm back here, actually the spacing back here isn't bad. However, I cannot close the front door. I do not have that luxury. However, I do have a cup holder in the door. I don't get a center console or anything like that. Very, very basic back seats. However, I fit. I'm a big boy and I fit. So that's a win for the FJ Cruiser for sure. Headroom good. Legroom is actually good. Getting in, it's a little tight because it's only a half door. But once I'm in and it's good. It's fine. It's very, very manageable and actually quite comfortable. It's bringing back a lot of memories back here. All right, around the back of the FJ Cruiser, first of all, I miss cars having the tires on the back. You can't really find any like this besides maybe the Ford EcoSport if you spec it, or the Jeep Wrangler. Little handle down here and swing this open. You get this big arm that comes out. However, now we are in the back. I have some nice storage back here, just kind of built into the wall there, as well as down here for like my jack and things like that. But tons of nice storage. You can fold the seats down as well, and you do get some tie-down hooks and things like that. Now, closing this, which actually, it's a very heavy door. I wonder if it's like the old 4Runners where like, oh, that worked. It is like the old 4Runner. So you put the key in and hold it to the right until it pops, and you can actually open up the rear window. That is fantastic. I love that in and off-roader. Such a fun camping, keep your dog inside, whatever it is. Such a fun feature that you can open up the rear glass. I absolutely love that. Before we get back to the looks, one thing I really want to comment on is the interior space here in the FJ Cruiser. It's very, very boxy by design, but it offers a lot of room. I can't actually touch the windshield. I can't even touch the windshield from where I'm sitting. I would have to unbuckle and stretch out. My camera, I can barely reach. If you notice, look at how far. This is the uncropped view. Look at how far away I am. Very, very spacious interior, very angular design, and that's also really notable on the window here. This edge is just very square cut. Very, very square, very angular. And honestly, I don't know why angular and square means off-road to me, but it really does. Maybe that's just because Wranglers and sort of like military, utilitarian sort of vibes, I guess. But it does feel very off-road oriented because it's so square, and visibility is actually pretty good out the front. Out the back, not good, not good. Just straight up not good. But speaking of visibility, something I forgot to mention was the fact that I do actually have a backup camera, which is in the rear view mirror. It's very rudimentary, not very good. However, at least it has one for 2014. I guess that's a plus. Now we got to talk about the looks. I actually really like the FJ Cruiser's looks. They were going for a retro style back when this car debuted in 2006 because this was reminiscent of older FJ Cruisers, or the FJ series Land Cruisers. And at the time, I think it was kind of crucified a little bit for being too retro and too modern at the same time. However, I think this car has actually aged very gracefully. I think personally it looks good. Now, my final thoughts on this here FJ Cruiser. Well, like I said, back in 2008, I rode in the back of a blue one of these on my way to see the first ever Iron Man movie, something that kicked off an entire franchise that's worth billions. But I remember thinking that this car was so cool. Unfortunately, this FJ Cruiser does not have the iPod specific input. I remember that was such a big deal that it had an iPod specific input. And it was the old pre-lightning cable input as well. But I remember that being weird, and that was the first time I had ever seen a phone hookup in a car. And so, I think I have some good memories associated with this here FJ. But the really interesting thing is just how off-road oriented this car is, and how now, today in 2021, it's really starting to shoot up in value. If you're a big fan of Bring a Trailer, or Cars and Bids, or other auction sites like that, you'll notice that a couple of these FJs are starting to go for a little bit of scratch, a little bit of money. There was a supercharged one that went for quite a few bucks not too long ago. And I think there's two reasons for that. First of all, these vehicles are no longer imported to the US. This is actually the last US model year, which is 2014. This is the last of an era, really. I feel like this is Toyota's last really purpose-built off-roader. Yes, they still have Land Cruisers, but that was like kind of a luxury car. I'm sure it does great off-road as well, but it wasn't like a bare bones trail rig. That's a luxury car. It has a freaking refrigerator in the center console. This is the last of Toyota's good off-roaders, in my opinion. I hope they bring something like this back, maybe in an EV, with the Hummer coming back as an EV, and the Jeep Wrangler is going to be offered in an EV, the 4xe. Maybe Toyota can find room in its lineup for one of these. I really hope they do, because this is the next cult classic off-roader. Maybe not even now, but moving forward as time goes on, I think these are going to start to go up in value. Will they hit Land Rover Defender prices? Probably not. But I think if you have one right now in good condition, like this one, 87,000 miles, I think it would be worth holding on to, because I really do think this is the next classic off-roader. Like we look at old Broncos, like we look at CJ Jeeps. I think the FJ Cruiser's jersey will be hung in the rafters of the off-roading gymnasium as one of the best. I love it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Toyota of Naperville for letting me take out their FJ Cruiser. This is one of their used vehicles. They have hundreds of used cars on the lot at all times. Please go check them out. If you're looking for a new vehicle, please go look at their inventory. They have some very diverse stuff and always fun stuff as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.